So I was 13 years old when I picked up a camera for the first time. I started making random vlogs about random things in life. And something about making cinematic stories, not really sure what it was, but it caught my interest. Fast forward a few years later, I went to college for filmmaking, and let me tell you, that changed everything. Because for the first time, I had access to real equipment, real lighting rigs, real cameras. I would literally stay at the campus just to practice on these YouTube videos. Try different setups, different lighting, and all that good stuff. I was just learning the basics. Then I graduated, went back to my own camera, my own gear, and for some reason, dude, my footage still felt flat. It had no structure, no real color grade, no intentional movement. I knew what good looked like. I'd seen it, but I couldn't get those results. So I started testing these things again and again. 6 techniques specifically. So here is what actually changed everything. Of course, let's start with the gear that I currently have. I've had the same gear for the past couple of years now. But regardless, here's what I have. I've been using the Sony a7C for years now, and I'm only getting better. Like, this is me using the same camera on year 1. And this is me using my camera on year 3. My go-to lens is a Sigma 24-70 that can get you a variety of different shots. Although it is kind of heavy, like it'll literally work out your forearms for sure. Your forearms are gonna be burning. And my DJI Lav mic that I've used for most of my videos. I think we can all agree that you'd rather watch a bad quality video than a video with bad audio. And I'm also a huge believer that gear can only get you so far, but leveling up in skill is a whole different level. It's a whole different game. However, a better lens for your camera might be a better investment than getting that new Sony FX5, because that thing ain't cheap. Let me tell you right now. One of the biggest mistakes I was making early on was making every shot like it stood alone. One clip, move on, one and done. Then I started looking at movies, and it taught me something. It taught me how they made things feel cinematic. And I noticed movies film in sequences, like establishing shot, wide, medium, close-up. All the shots in the sequence push the story forwards. Telling the story with your shots instead of your words. I watch tons of cinematic vlogs on YouTube, which is my form of entertainment when I'm at lunch at work. When you start thinking in sequences, it starts to feel like a film instead of a vlog. I filmed a sequence with my girlfriend when I went to Austin, and it was just her walking to literally nowhere, and look how it turned out. I've been wanting to film a little bit more of a cinematic style vlog. It's sort of like a blend of the two. I think it's very unique, and it catches my interest the most. It's very different comparing to all the fast edits that you see on Instagram and YouTube. You know, you can just sit there and enjoy the story. It's a short film / YouTube video. It's just posted on the YouTube platform. And if done right, I'm pretty sure it can get up there as a short film contender. Lighting, music, the audio, and a good story. The shots are looking beautiful, good quality. There's no way that's not a piece of art, not just a YouTube video. This one thing literally changed the way I edit. Hear me out. I used to cut my videos like anywhere I wanted, just random, okay, I feel like I should cut right here. That's the way I used to cut. That's the way I used to edit my videos, just based off a feeling. Literally, it was just like, perfect right here, it makes sense. But there really wasn't any like intent behind the cut. It was just, I'll split it right here. And usually I was just cutting on the beat of the song, or let's say a sound, and which is cool for maybe your first couple of videos, but it can seem a little amateurish because for one, it's very expected. 2, it could seem very repetitive. But to differentiate a little bit, if you cut on your movement, honestly, it will take your edit or your film to the next level. And that makes a film a lot more intentional rather than just cutting on the beat. See, the thing about editing, your edit has a rhythm, whether you want it or not. And you might as well make it work for you. I'd say this one is the most exciting one because this is where I call film an art. Shooting in different perspectives that correlate with the film. You know, practicing different lighting setups, which to me is practically the hardest thing to master or get better at. And what truly makes your film stick out. I will say though, there's two types of creative shots. There's the cinematic one that you've never seen before, where you're like, it literally blows your mind. Or there's a cinematic mundane shot where you turn things that are not cinematic into cinematic, which is the one that I fall into the most. I remember filming a sequence in my kitchen, which looked great, but the lighting wasn't really hitting. Honestly, lighting can be easily overlooked, especially when you already have a lot to think about, more so when you're doing this all by yourself. I used to ignore lighting completely, to be honest. Just pointing my camera at whatever was in front of me. The last step that I'm gonna add here is color grading, because color grading is where you add the personality of the film, how you want it to look, just the whole aesthetic of it. I see color grading as your signature. It's like your branding. And you know how you see A24 films, you know that's an A24 film because of the way it looks. You can shoot the same clip as someone else, but if your grade is consistent and intentional, people will recognize your footage before they even see your face. Somewhere along the way, I forgot that sometimes what you have can be enough. But most importantly, you just need to understand why your footage feels the way it feels, and then fix it one thing at a time. So let me know what you think in the comments and tell me which one hit different. So with that being said, follow for more cinematic stories like these.